So statistically, everybody has at least more than one. And it's a story which goes back 20 years, not more. So it's pretty cool stuff. Yeah, and I want to introduce my best half, Veronica. She's with me. So we share our life 24/7. The problem is we have the same interests. So I'm 50% woman and she's 50% man. So whatever we do, we do it together. And you mentioned it, we're both racing. By the way, Veronica is the only woman in the world who races in a pretty fast Pt.2 Formula car. The most funny thing is we race together in one series. So we compete to each other. So, fortunately, I'm still waiting in the pit lane when she finalizes her race. If it would be the opposite, I don't know if I keep on racing, but we will see when it happens. Yes, and we share the business, we share everything, and Kathy told you, and Paul, they were participating in one of our races in Europe. It was a pretty cool experience, right? And those things in life are damn fast, huh? And damn loud, exactly. Okay, let's talk about some more serious stuff. I just brought up some predictions and some interesting facts, which are backed up by pretty good references. In the year 2050, about 22% of the entire population will be over the age of 60. That comes with a lot of problem. It's good that we become older and older. So our life expectation is increasing. In Europe, it's about, I think, on average, 77 for men and 83 for women. I'm not so sure about the numbers in Canada, but we're more or less the same, depending on the area. The highest life expectancy is in Switzerland. That's why I live in Switzerland, because I want to live as long as I can, But it's more or less 2 or 3 years difference. But, we become older and older. That creates a lot of problems economically. We know that, because the old people eat the food away from the young people, and because the pension it expands a little bit, so that takes away the money from the younger people. So we run in big problems with this. That's why now the authorities start already to feed the people with a lot of medications, make them toxic already with 40, so that they die a little bit earlier, and they can compensate this a little bit, This is going to happen. Even today, also interesting, about 60% of the entire population of our planet die from the consequences of chronic diseases. 3 in particular. Which diseases I mean? 3. Stroke. Cancer, heart attacks, stroke. 60%. Cancer, heart attack, stroke, all chronic diseases, except cancer. We don't know yet, but heart attack, stroke, well-earned diseases. So depending on our environment and our lifestyle, so we could prevent this by changing our lifestyle, by not accepting what we eat and drink anymore, by getting educated and dig a little bit deeper what we can do to protect ourselves from that. And cancer, in my opinion, my personal opinion, why we have such an increase of cancer patients is environmental related. Nothing else. Quality of food, high toxins, a tremendous increase of electrosmog. I give you some more numbers when we talk about electrosmog later on. In 10 years, the worldwide healthcare systems can no longer be financed. You have to save money nowadays to be able to pay for your diseases in 10 years. Because as it looks like, and this does not relate to any country, this is a global development. Every healthcare systems on every continent in the world have this problem. So we pretty much run into the wall with all what we are doing. This is This was a study which was done from PricewaterhouseCoopers. They do this for the insurance companies, for the banks, so that they can prepare their programs, you know, and adjust their numbers and their predictions. So it's pretty serious stuff. And even today, I told you, we have about 7.6 billion cell phones and about 2.5 billion PCs in daily use. Everybody is surrounded by this beautiful environment full of artificial frequencies. You heard about electrosmog, right? Do you know what electrosmog is? It's the summary of all artificial frequencies information around us. By the way, about 120 years ago, there were no artificial frequencies on this planet. Which invention changed everything? Somebody remember? Electricity. Thank you. Nikola Tesla. You know, Canada. Electricity was invented in Canada. Niagara Falls. There was the first generator with AC current. You know, Nikola Tesla, 120 years ago. This was for the first time when artificial frequencies, man-made frequencies, were produced on our planet. Before, it was not there. You know, and with this, I mean, nowadays, without electricity, we cannot imagine life. No skyscraper would exist without electricity. Who wants to walk in the 120th floor to go into the office every day? It would be perfect for your health, but nobody wants to do it anymore, right? But we have these elevators, we have the escalators, you know? We have such a convenient life that we totally lose the purpose of what we are made of. We have these big muscles here, we don't use them anymore. Those muscles are made to exercise and to walk 25 kilometers per day. This is what these muscles are made for. And now they bother us when we sit on the computer. You know this, you know. If we wouldn't have that, they would not bother us, you know. But we don't use them for the purpose anymore. Big problem. So, the consequences of all these environmental changes are clear. We have adaptation problems. You know, our children start already developing chronic diseases in the age of 10 to 15. Chronic back pain, allergies. You know what an allergy is? An allergy is an autoimmune reaction. So there's an information coming into our body, and the immune system immediately figure out, I'm sorry, this information I cannot deal with, and starts freaking out. And this is an allergy. And about 50 to 100 years ago, when all this electrosmog was not so developed in that amount, you know, there was nothing to be allergic against. And now, even our children, they start developing all kinds of chronic diseases in the earliest stages of their lives. And they have to deal with them until they pass away. And for most of these civilization illnesses, there is no cure. They don't even have a clue where it's coming from. And if you have no clue where it's coming from, how you can develop a clue how to treat it? So that's a big, big issue. The quality of food is horrible. And it gets more and more horrible. And the reason why the quality of food is so bad and gets worse and worse is because we do not have enough natural resources anymore to feed every mouth on this planet. You know, our population on this planet doubled within the last 50, 60 years. We have now 7.6 or 7.7 billion people on this planet. And we do not have enough natural resources to feed everybody. So we have to invent all these nice things like genetically modified food. We have to alter DNA of food to grow in a different way, to grow faster, to give us more harvest, and so on and so on. And we eat and drink all this. Because we have no other choice. Well, we have, but we are very convenient. So we take what is offered to us. And we still believe in the fact that the authorities will take care of us. everything what we get is still okay. I tell you, this time is over. We have to rethink. We have to change our mind, change our perspective, and I tell you from the bottom of my heart, the better you educate yourself, and this is probably the reason why you're here today, so you are already at the stage where you say, I start, taking responsibility for myself and collect information and collect education, this will go worse and worse and worse. And the more education you have, the more choices you have to protect yourself from there, the longer you will live and the healthier you will live. This is something which you can take for granted. The quality of water. Can you drink the tapped water in Canada? Vancouver, maybe, not so bad. You have the Rocky Mountains. You have a lot of snow, so you have still the properties to create a good quality of tapped water. In most of the parts in the world, you cannot drink it, and you still have to remember that every second child in this planet has not even access to water. This is pretty devastating, and this is what I would wish the politicians should discuss about, and not if we pay 15% tax or 16% tax. And the potential increase of electrosmog. Who in the room has no mobile phone? Thank you. 1, 2. Are you happy? Yes. Cool, huh? Yes. The friends aren't happy, yeah. You know why? Because the friends need to take effort to reach you. And this is pretty inconvenient, No WhatsApp message quickly or Viber or whatever. No Facebook message. I adore you. I had this hype 20 years ago when these mobile phones appear on the market. I had to have one because it's cool. You can call somebody while you're driving and all that stuff, I figured out the more you call people, the more they call you back. And then you suddenly have no time to do your work anymore. Now I turn it around, I don't call people anymore, and you know what happens? Nobody calls you anymore. It's pretty cool, And the next generation is already done. The younger generation, they don't even use their phones anymore for calling. They just use it for Facebooking, for Instagramming, for YouTubing, for probably reading their emails, and for chatting. But the original purpose, to call somebody, almost nobody does it anymore. However, you always carry this gadget with you, And I want to show you something, if you let me. I have a little device here, which I developed. It sounds like a Geiger counter, so it makes a little bit of a noise. The problem of electromagnetic smog, let's say it in another way. The problem of giving proof of an existing electromagnetic field is pretty tough. Why? Because we have no organ to detect it. So if you are close to an electromagnetic source, you will not feel subjectively if there is an exposure or not, because you don't have an organ to detect it. So you don't feel the radiation. However, this little gadget feels it. So for example, if I turn this on and you are absolutely quiet, and I go, for example, close to this projector creates an electromagnetic radiation. So if I go closer, can you hear that? So this is around this projector. How about the cell phone? Pretty nasty. Cell phone. Give me a cell phone. iPhone 7, please. No, just a joke. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it's constantly emitting. There's nobody calling. Not at all, Interestingly, if I remove it, it's getting a little bit more nervous and it's increasing. You know why? The job number one of a mobile phone is staying connected to the provider. Otherwise, it cannot make money. Right? If you turn it to flight mode, it doesn't do anything to you. You can still play, but you cannot communicate with it anymore. So, even if nobody calls, and even if you do not do any action, the mobile phone or the iPad or the computer sends constantly radiation because it tries to stay connected to the provider. So who is using the mobile phone as an alarm clock? Be honest. Okay. You can do this without any health-threatening effects if you do what? If you put it on flight mode. If you do not put it on flight mode, it will constantly radiate around you. And I promise you, and you can take this for granted, if you use your mobile phone as an alarm clock, and if you did not put it on flight mode yet, and if you start doing this tonight before you go to bed, I promise you, you will have a much better quality of sleep, and you will feel this right away. Because we are not built and we are not used to this kind of information during the time when we would like to regenerate, which is probably always the time when we are asleep. About sleep, there is an important information you should know. It does not matter how long you sleep. It always matters how deep you sleep. The so-called REM phase is a very crucial factor when it comes to deep, relaxing, and regenerating sleep. And usually, if you have a very, very deep sleep with a long REM phase, 4 hours can be enough, and you're totally fit when you wake up. If you never reach this level of sleep, you can sleep 9 hours, and you will wake up and you will feel like a truck was rolling over you. So this is very important. So a very, very simple trick and hint for you is, if you sleep better, your body regenerates better. So make sure that you sleep in an environment which is as natural as possible. And that means take away all this electromagnetic influence, all this electrosmoke. And it's just one click to put it on flight mode. Your alarm clock will work. And it's just nobody will be able to reach you during this time frame. That's all. And you should also not use a TV before you go to bed in the bedroom. You know, I was a candidate for that. I always needed that to calm down, you know. Since I'm with Veronica, I'm not allowed anymore, and I'm pretty happy, you know. And the bedroom life is more, you know, it's more active. It's not so passive anymore. Which is also good for your health, by the way. You know what I'm talking about, right? No? Yeah. If you don't know, then you should turn off your TV. So, what choices do we have today to protect our health? Well, prevention. This is, you know, the easiest, simplest, and most cost-effective way not to become ill is what? Stay healthy. Prevention. So, actually, we should become aware that we can control our health with our lifestyle. This is not new, it's just always so difficult because it takes efforts. But I tell you one thing, the better education you receive, the more easy it is for you to, you know, to take these efforts. No problem, it comes all with education, nothing else. You know, become proactive, it's very important. Create a fundamentally natural environment. What happens when we go on vacation? You go to the beach, you lay down there in the sun, you immediately feel better. And it's not only because the server brings you the cocktail, which is pretty pleasant and nice, but it's also because you are immediately in a different environment, much more natural, and your body immediately resonates with this. You know? And you go there for 2 weeks, and then you go back to your regular environment. What happens within 1 day? You get this punch in your face, and you are back in reality. And the reason is because you change your environment. So at home, create a natural, fundamental environment, and this is, first of all, addressed to your sleep. Take away, put your things on flight mode. Because I know most people, they just put their mobile phone on the nightstand, they even charge it there, and they keep it connected. Don't do this. There is no reason to do this, and it will help you a lot to sleep better. We have to understand, we have to learn to understand that our organism is just a little tiny part of a complete universal system that works pretty cool together as long as it's in balance. By the way, health and good lifestyle, it's all about balance. Me personally, I'm not a vegetarian, I'm not a vegan. My personal idea is a little bit of everything with the best quality can never be wrong. Balance, it's about balance. Try to become balanced in everything and what you do and with everybody you are surrounded by. So let's talk about PEMF. In order to experience nature and in order to be able to live a healthy lifestyle, we need some pretty fundamental elements which are vital to all of us. Do you know some of them? Oxygen, Oxygen is pretty neat, You always feel that if you don't have it for longer than 2 minutes. Then you figure out pretty fundamental, right? What else? Water. Life force, light. Was not so bad. Water, oxygen, light, gravity, and believe it or not, electromagnetism. We need electromagnetism. What do you connect with the word electromagnetism? What comes to your mind when you hear this word, electromagnetism? What does it mean for you? Energy? The Earth's energy. Did I hear sound? Who said sound? Nobody, okay, maybe I was. The North Pole and the South Pole, okay. You see, this is pretty interesting. This is exactly what I thought. When you hear the word electromagnetism, you think that has something to do with electrism or magnetism. Electricity or magnetism. But you're totally wrong. The electromagnetism is for most of the people a totally unknown field. I can tell you, for example, that the visible light is electromagnetism because it's a wavelength out of the electromagnetic range. Ultraviolet, it's a spectrum, ultraviolet light out of the electromagnetic wave. X-rays is a spectrum out of the electromagnetic waves. Gamma rays, infrared, radar, UHF, the radio frequencies, it's all out of the spectrum of electromagnetic waves. So actually, we are surrounded by electromagnetism all the time, but we probably never figured it out that all of this stuff we need to survive. What would we do without visible light? We could not be alive because we could not create our biorhythm. We could not gain or produce some kind of vitamins without the help of the sunlight. So electromagnetism is by far more than we always think it is. But what most of the people don't know at all is that we have a major force which we are surrounded by, and this is the so-called electromagnetic field of the Earth. Did you ever hear that this exists? The Earth magnetic field? This is a very simple animation. What it shows you here, actually this little bubble here, this is our Earth. And what you see here, from this side, the sun is coming. So what actually happens, the sun sends these visible lights, these electromagnetic fields, and they bump against the electromagnetic field of the Earth. And they force the electromagnetic field to create this, how can you say this? This wave to the other side. So actually, without the shield of the electromagnetic field of the Earth, we would literally be fried on this planet because the sun rays would kill us. So the electromagnetic field of the Earth serves on one hand as a protective shield and protects us against the sunstorms. By the way, sometimes this electromagnetic field has tiny holes, and those sunstorms can go through. Do you know what you can see then when you look in the sky? The northern lights. Exactly. The northern lights is a phenomenon which is based on little tiny holes in the electromagnetic field of the Earth, and the sunstorms, the particles can slip through and they appear as the northern lights. But there is another property which is very important. It looks like, and that now I reflect a little bit on the basic research of pulsed electromagnetic fields, specifically on the Earth magnetic field. It looks like that we somehow utilize this energy also for our biochemistry, for the maintaining of certain properties and certain functions inside our body. And what's pretty interesting is this planet looks pretty sad. This is the moon. The moon has no magnetic field. It's not because I say it, it's proven. You know, and it doesn't look so happy. The magnetic field has the Earth has its own magnetic field. It looks a little bit more colorful and a little bit more alive. So it seems like, you know, we have this macro organism. When you take a closer look, that electromagnetic field seems to have some impact on our organism. And why do we know this? Well, there were studies done. Maybe you remember when the first person was in the outer space. At that time, it was Yuri Gagarin. He was only there for about 1 hour and 55 minutes, I think. He came back. He developed severe diseases. He was even suffering from osteoporosis. They measured his bone density went down. Even being just 2 hours out of our atmosphere. And there were other things they figured out. Long story short, they figured out at that time that some of the properties which are available on our planet and which are not available in the stratosphere seem to have an impact on the human health right away. So we know we need gravity, because without gravity we cannot expand and compress our skeleton. And that would lead to osteoporosis. Why? Because we have little crystals on our bones, and when you compress when you compress them and extend them by moving, those crystals, they create friction, and this friction creates an electromagnetic force which is responsible for reproducing your osteoblasts, your bone cells. That's why, for example, when people suffer from osteoporosis, questions at the end, okay? Thank you. When people suffer from osteoporosis and they cannot move anymore, they even deteriorate faster because they cannot create this friction anymore. In physics, it's called the piezoelectric effect. So, or we know this when people, after 45 years of working, and then they go to pension, and after 6 months, they literally deteriorate because they don't do anything anymore. It's the worst what you can do. We discussed this because I'm a little bit older than Veronica. She said, what do you do when you go in pension? She said, you must work because you're gonna die if you don't, you know? You literally deteriorate, and it's true. I can highly recommend, you know, if you are 65 or 70 and you think you have your well-earned pension, keep on working, because that keeps you going.